It is a day and counting since US President Donald Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong-un sat down for the historic summit. But the analysis of what it means continues.
US President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un began with a firm handshake and ended talks with a broad pledge for peace. History was made in Singapore on Tuesday, where Trump finally met with the North Korean leader. The two leaders were cautious at first, smiling for the cameras, but soon Trump said the two had a very special bond. On the other hand, Kim was more quiet, but he was seen beaming at some points and said the world would see a major change. Later, both sides pledged to complete the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. I'm Reuters' Grace Lee in Singapore, where the world watched as Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un finally met face-to-face for the first time. Now, locals and foreigners here alike held their breath as the two leaders signed what they called an important document. Then after that, it was a mad scramble for details for journalists such as myself, trying to figure out what the two leaders actually talked about. Those details later spilled out at a lengthy press conference that began with a video of what North Korea could get if it laid down its nuclear arms. And Trump pushed the idea that this agreement did mean North Korea was getting rid of its arsenal. The agreement says U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and North Korean officials will meet for follow-up talks as soon as possible.
U.S. senators remain cautiously optimistic in the aftermath.
The message now is, let's try to find a peaceful solution. The military exercises being put on hold is fine with me. It gives us space. What would not be fine with me is to withdraw our forces from South Korea as part of any deal with North Korea.
A Louisiana Republican senator says his skepticism about the regime in North Korea remains.
His father and his grandfather have consistently tried to starve their own people half to death and put those who disagreed with them in prison and tortured them. I don't know what else you call him but a butcher. Having said that, I'm glad the president and Kim met. I hope something comes out of this, but I've got to see it to believe.
I mean, he also.
And a Democratic senator from Connecticut says the framework of the agreement is vague.
Talk is always better than war. Diplomacy is preferable to military action. There is a long road to go before we can really say there's progress, because an agreement so far is lacking. What we have is a very vague, unspecific framework that maybe is a cause for hope, but hardly confidence.
In more world news, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is resisting any attempts to get into a verbal battle with neighbor Donald Trump, saying Tuesday he is focused on creating jobs for his people. It is a long time relations between the two neighbors have been so icy. Trudeau has been attacked by some U.S. officials after standing up to Trump at a summit on the weekend. But one official in Washington was forced to walk back on comments he made about the Canadian leader.
We expect probably.
After saying there was a special place in hell for Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, White House trade advisor Peter Navarro is now apologizing. On Sunday, Navarro blasted Trudeau after he said he would retaliate in response to Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs as he wrapped up hosting the G7 talks in Quebec. Appearing on Fox News, Navarro said, quote, "There is a special place in hell for any foreign leader that engages in bad faith diplomacy with President Donald J. Trump." But at a Wall Street Journal event Tuesday, Navarro, one of Trump's loudest nationalist voices on trade, said, quote, "Let me correct a mistake I made last Sunday. My mission was to send a very strong signal of strength. This was particularly important on the eve of a far more important summit, Korea. The problem is that in conveying that message, I used language that was inappropriate."
Canadians were polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around.
White House correspondent Jim Oliphant.
The White House went after Trudeau with full force. And certainly in Canada, this only helps someone like Justin Trudeau, showing that he's willing to take on the United States, take on someone like Donald Trump.
On his way to Singapore, Trump called him, quote, "very dishonest and weak," and he pulled the U.S. from a communique signed by G7 allies, dashing efforts at unity.
The president seems determined to make the public case that Canada is being unreasonable in these ongoing trade discussions in terms of revising NAFTA or perhaps even striking a new trade deal with the country. Trump insists that there's a trade deficit with Canada, and that Canada is being unreasonable with the importation of dairy products. And he's basically trying to win his case in the court of public opinions.
When asked about Trump's comments, Trudeau on Tuesday avoided reopening the battle.
I'm going to stay focused on defending jobs for Canadians and supporting Canadian interests.
1 day to go, as Bob Marley once sung, working for the next day. Puerto Rican star Louis Fonsi will be releasing his latest single featuring the Jamaican Englishwoman Stefflon Don on Thursday. The song is called Calypso. There's a lot of buzz about the song, and Fonsi recently performed it in his native Puerto Rico. The opening of the track, we are told, includes a digital impression of steel band music and pays ode to the genre that was developed in Trinidad and Tobago. More on that story tonight on Rhythm and Buzz, our daily entertainment news report. We will be back here in 24 hours, but our coverage don't stop. We are always online at WPG10.com and also on Facebook. But of course, if major news break out, we will always break in there on WPG10. Thanks to all our contributors in Grenada, around the Caribbean, and the world. Don't forget to watch Wendy Chateau and Linda Braveboy late in prime time. Good evening and goodbye.